So the basic structure, as you can see here, this is the basic structure of Sukuk. You identify what are the income generating project. The most important thing, the type of assets that you want to structure must be based on something that can derive certain benefits, that certain income, that you can pass this income to the investors. That is the most important thing. So once you identify the project, you have the issuer and the obligor. Sometimes issuer and obligor are coming from the same party. Sometimes they are two separate entities. Okay, so this can be seen in the form of SPV and non-SPV Sukuk. Okay, special purpose vehicle and non-special purpose vehicle. Sometimes the issuer themselves as the obligor themselves are the issuer, the originator. Okay, so here I just show you the basic structure where the Sukuk investors who have money, who have liquidity, they will invest in this project through the issuer who issue the Sukuk. Okay, issue the Sukuk means a certificate that represents the ownership of this project. So basically, the Sukuk investors is essentially the owner of this project. Okay, it depends on the units. Okay, of course, okay, as mentioned by Iqbal earlier, okay, most of the time the investors are institutional investors. Okay, because this is also clarify another dimension why Sukuk were really in need in 1996 in Malaysia, because at that time also takaful operators has mushroomed in Malaysia. Started with 1984, one takaful, and then more than 10 takaful operators involved. So they need instrument that can ensure wherever they invest their money, it's only in Sharia compliant manner. This is also one of the important reasons. Okay. So does Sukuk similar to bond? I've already mentioned to you. Okay, you can compare Sukuk to bonds. Sukuk holder owns assets, whereas bonds holder owns cash flow only. Okay, bond simply use a loan contract, COP. Okay, whereas Sukuk, it depends on the structure, it depends on the need, it depends on the availability of the assets. Okay, if you have asset, then the option is far more greater. Meaning you have a lot of options, either to structure based on mudarabah, musyarakah, wakala, salam, istisna, murabah, whatsoever. But if you don't have any assets, okay, you just have a project idea, then your structure will be limited to only certain types of contracts, either mudarabah, musyarakah, wakala bi istismar, or the controversial one, sukuk murabah based on tawarruk or based on aina. Okay, that is the option available. Okay, but the most important thing, you use all these variety contracts to create financial obligations. Okay, returns in Sukuk linked to profit element inbuilt in sales, lease, and partnership, whereas return is mainly linked to the interest charge out of the loan contract. Bond is a debt instrument, whereas Sukuk, it may be equity or debt. But in practice, most of the time, I said most of the time because 90% I can safely mention here, that most of the time the Sukuk, even though it's based on mudarabah or musyarakah, is actually in the form of debt rather than equity. Okay, even though by nature the contract is equity, but the whole structure actually replicating the function of bond with all the instrument attached to the structure. For example, purchase undertaking, the loan facility, okay, top-up facility, and so on. I will explain a little bit on this later.